purpose, like you have to do them before 30 days, before 45 days, or it goes away, and then you have to pay for it again. And so I was like, I had 1 day left and 6 days left, and then 25 days and 30 days. So
cool.
Yesterday I spent, which sucked because it was sunny outside, but sometimes that's a sacrifice. It was like I spent all day in here doing, it would have been, I don't know, dude, fucking probably like 25 reels.
Oh, cool.
Scheduled out till May.
You got a little bank of them.
Yeah, and I still have 2 whole episodes to go, and then I'll have me and your episode.
That's cool.
And then me and Noah's episode. So just like scheduling things out and having the consistency, I think I was too worried in the beginning of like staying relative to that week, being like, oh, well, you guys did this, but we're not really talking about
anything specific.
Not like sometimes we are, but does it really matter if somebody knows
the way stuff pops up anyways, you know?
Yeah, it just goes random.
Yeah. The goal is to click on the thing and it take you to,
yeah.
Like if I like something or the way something sounds, that's when I start investigating that person or that brand. So
yeah, I think, I didn't really think about it. I mean, the funny thing is we had the conversations about it, about like the psychological view of our website and our missions and like all of this stuff. And like, we had the conversations, but it was before we had all of that built. And so we had to spend the time building it. And now it's kind of like we're back at this state with everything to where it's like, oh, it's all built, but like, that's kind of wrong. That's kind of wrong. Like, let's get this fixed. Let's get this fixed. So I did all those reels, and then I was like, oh, well, I can start doing the t-shirt advertising and start doing and I was like, oh, I could pay for a few ads on Facebook right now. But then I was like, oh, fuck, I kind of want to talk to you about the website and like how things should be framed and the direction we're going to go with that. And in order to like show people like what we want them to do on the website, and eventually they'll know that everything that we talk about is on the website, but we still have to have like that direction. So, yeah, I was like, all right, well, we'll get through this podcast and then talk about that. And, yeah, dude, like it's just so funny in the mix of you, like we had all of these ideas and like everybody's had them, especially me and you. And like we've had the conversations over and over again, but in the mix of like taking the first step to something, you lose track of like all of the things that you needed to figure out. Yeah. So once you get through that first step, it's like, oh fuck, I have to go back. But you feel like it's again. Like, fuck, I got to go all the way back. When in reality, it's like, no, I'm still up at this step.
Yeah,
I have to go back and grab the pieces and go right back up to that step. So
clean it up.
Yeah.
Redefine some things.
Yeah, dude.
It's good.
Yeah, so the process behind that's pretty good. I'm excited to like kind of start moving forward and whatever. What I was writing down, we started like in the meetings and stuff, we're doing that questionnaire, trying to figure out where to kind of place everybody and stuff. And I started to think like, I don't necessarily know, when you're in like in hardships and in darker times, your body is in this fight or flight mode. And I know that I carry a lot of that with me just based off of what I've done to myself in the past.
Yeah.
And
I can relate to that.
Yeah. And it's funny because like in my head, I'm like, yeah, I want a great future. And of course I want a great future. And I want to
define that.
Yeah. That's so when I was writing that down, because you're going to read mine, I was like, oh fuck. I don't even think I know like what I want in the future. I mean, I know like the gist of it, but it's not like I do have a dream board to be like, this is exactly what I'm shooting for. And, we both know that it doesn't always come the way that you want it to, but regardless, like having that goal, having that plan is something that you can wake up to and something that you can strive for. It's just, it's such a weird thing to kind of like wake up a little bit and be like, oh fuck, I've been like scrounging and like just in that fight or flight the entire time. And trying to get your body and mind out of it is definitely a huge struggle.
That's something I can definitely relate to. That's something I have recognized over the last couple of months, that I think I'm still, just naturally in that state.
Yeah.
And it creates, um, because of the fight or flight, it's almost, fight, flight, freeze,
Yeah.
and it's like, I think I run a mix of them all the time. And so I'm trying to kind of take a step back and reevaluate my life and figure out where I'm at and what I want. And then going through that questionnaire, um, I had kind of my own little like aha moment where I'm writing things out, thinking about what I want, and on the surface, a lot of the time relate stuff back to finances, right?
Right.
Because
It's just
with financial freedom comes freedom in other areas of life and
yeah.
the ability to create experiences. But in like that, writing down my goals or aspirations in life, um, you know, I'm none of it had anything to do with money per se. I mean, yes, it'd be nice to not worry about that kind of stuff, right? But
I
in
mean,
reality,
I made a joke to it too
yeah,
because I was trying to not like make sure that I was not saying stuff like just stuff and things, but you'll see a spot in there.
yeah.
It's
I
like at
mean,
the end, and I was like, oh yeah, and a yacht, like
yeah, I mean that,
making the joke about it, but in
yeah.
truth, yeah,
But behind all that stuff, it's really the experience and like the quality of experiences, and those are the real things, that um like I want out of life. I want certain things for my kids and certain things for myself, but it's to be able to feel and experience what comes along with certain like elements of life, and doesn't necessarily have to be defined, monetarily.
well,
So,
I think all of that comes too, right?
yeah.
Like, I mean, we've read countless books and stuff, but like if you're working on yourself, you're working on learning, you're working on reading books, I haven't even been eating anything bad, which is like great. Been happy about it. Um, with that and like with the growth comes the money. Like if you're willing to like grow and willing to learn, like willing to change your whole mindset on things, um, I think eventually like it comes like because, and I guess I can relate it to this. Like when it comes down to working, I've grown and I've gotten a little bit more self confidence in things than I have in the previous years of working for myself,
Hmm.
and also not entitlement, but knowing my worth and knowing what I'm capable of doing and getting done. So like my price is what my price is. Like I've had to argue with builders and they're like, you got to give me a deal and you got to do this. And it's like, to an extent I do, but also to an extent you have to pay the price.
Hmm.
And, and I would have never done that in my previous years had I not been working on myself, because it's like, I also need to be paid for the work that I'm doing.
Yeah,
I also,
quality of
yeah,
life.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, with a little bit more self confidence, only because I've been working on that, and
It's experience.
yeah,
Yeah.
and because I've been burned too. But
Mhm.
um, I don't know. It's this thing that my therapist had said to me was like, and I think I had said it to you. I probably had said it to Matt, where it's like I check my ego a lot, and I try to check my ego a lot, but and I do with him. Like I'll say something and be like, "Well, I don't want to like inflate my ego," and he's like, "Yeah, but it's okay to not have an ego, but at the same time, like don't push it away so much that you're making yourself feel like a piece of shit." Like,
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you're supposed to punish yourself for it, but I think
yeah,
it's important to be mindful of your ego or your where your pride's at,
yeah,
and I think you can still feel good about yourself and what you're bringing to any situation, and be confident in that, and it not mean that it's based in ego,
yeah,
I mean, it's hard because a lot of stuff in life goes back to some form of like vanity,
hmm
like so many things go back to that. But, um,
I'm thinking,
you know,
I'm The term that's in the book that we're reading or have read, I've re-listened to it like 3 times,
Hmm.
and I'm blanking on uh, the term that they use. Man, it's like, I mean, obviously, like, everything is.
You talk about domestication.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the term that I was thinking of. Like, I've been really it's funny, before we started reading the book,
Mm.
I already had started doing this kind of thing, like, where I would pause for a minute as to like how I was feeling and being like, "Why am I feeling this way?"
Hmm.
And like, did I get? And I wasn't using
Is it
the term
something that I was
domestication.
taught
Yeah,
or that was learned?
right. Or
Yeah.
some situation that's happened to me, and it's like I'm trying not to like live in the past. But it's funny because with trying not to live in the past, I want to go back there,
Hmm.
understand what's going on, and come back
Yeah, and see
and
how
be
it
like, all right,
applies.
well, I guess I can start anew. A lot of my thoughts recently have been like, okay, well, hey, that is a domestication line in the sand. That doesn't matter anymore. Like,
Hmm.
that's just like, obviously, that feeling's going to keep coming back up. But if I keep going line in the sand, that's something that happened. I'm reacting as to what happened then, not to what's happening now.
Hmm.
It's like you just keep drawing that line in the sand until eventually that, right? I mean, it exists, but in your mind state now, it's like it doesn't, like you've shoved it off so much that it almost doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, I think as you grow your self awareness, you start to see where your thinking comes from and how you process things. And it becomes a lot easier to figure out if um, it's a real, true, unique, and original thought or feeling that you're having in the moment based off of the present, or if it comes from something from your environment growing up or, you know, different experiences that you've had in the past. And I think it can be difficult to keep yourself um, like fresh and in the present and mindful of that as you're making decisions, because so much of our decision making comes from just experiences, and a lot of us shy away from things that would actually be good for us just because we have this like inherent thought that things are bad, and it has something to do with some childhood thing or childhood critique that
Hmm.
we're like carrying with us, like the ego, you know, thing. It's important to make sure that you're not being prideful, but it's okay to have some level of ego, if it's not, you know, tied to like some sort of vanity or pride. Like you want to make sure you're genuine.
I think up until recently, I didn't necessarily understand that. Like, I understood ego as like you shouldn't, you shouldn't have it. And until I was told, like, hey, dude, it's okay, like, to an extent, but be mindful about how your ego reacts. Be
Hmm.
mindful about what your ego can do for you or will do to
Yeah,
you.
I mean, because ego isn't just. I mean, the way that we're talking about it now is, I guess, about um, the thoughts about yourself, right? But your ego it's a lot more than that. It's like it's your personality, and it has all sorts of attachments, which I know we've talked about before. Um, a lot of what we judge ourselves and our lives on that is rooted in ego is some sort of um, it's like some sort of scale that's lined up with our expectations and our attachments. And when you can be present and mindful of how your mind's working, you can see whether or not it's based on an attachment or an expectation in your life. And that's, I think, the big part of it is you have your ego, and it's always with you. It's your personality. It's who you are, and each time you shed some negative thing or negative element of your ego, it changes itself up and redefines itself and gets smarter and tries to pull you back to the attachments and the old ways of thinking. So it's like this cyclical cycle, I think, where you're constantly going back into different elements of yourself and seeing yourself in a new way, and it's just really hard, I think, at times to not carry those expectations and attachments, and that's the whole concept of a lot of um, like ascended type of philosophy,
Yeah.
is to let go of those attachments. That's a big thing in a lot of you know um, mental
Yeah.
wellness,
What
growth, all that.
so I'm still trying to figure out my system. So the other thing that I was writing down is the fact that like one of my favorite things to do is to learn
Mhm.
and then create a system of how to do that. Whether I learn that system from a book or whatever. And I mean like, I could be working on a car doing brakes. By the fourth one, I'm like, hell yeah, like I got that one done faster.
Mhm.
For me, I feel like I focus a lot on time, and I know that that's also detrimental because I can't always live in the moment making when I'm worried about making the moment faster
Mhm.
in one area to get to the next moment that I might enjoy. When in reality, if I stay in both moments, the time doesn't matter,
Mhm.
but I'm also like I also struggle with this go, go, go mentality.
Mhm.
Um, but having a system for me to like get out of the attachment or to, kind of focus on try to focus on like where that domestication came from. Um, and I'm working on that. And I feel like I'm kind of getting that system. I'm not perfect at it by any means, like especially with how my body reacts to the emotions that I have. Like I go up and I go down, and I
Mhm.
really try to like feel everything up there and feel everything as low as possible because it gives me the perspective for that. Um, what do you think your like systems are? I mean, you're I feel like you're more experienced in this, and it's only because me and you have talked so long on this. But do you have any that like
Because
help you
I'm
pull
old. No.
that help you
Um,
pull out of like attachments and try to like kind of see where that domestication has came from? I'm sure you have slip ups too,
oh yeah. I
but
mean, I'm always on the go
yeah,
also, and I think there are different books that I've read that have helped. I think different experiences that I've had have helped me to stay as present as possible. I try to tell myself a lot when I feel myself feeling anxious or feeling pressure. I try to tell myself to be where my hands are, and like focus on what's in front of me.
do you know
If
where that
if you're
came from, or it just
so
came
I'm
from
sure
you?
that's been a thing that's been around for a long
Yeah,
time.
I meant for you though.
For me, it came from um, a friend of a friend years ago. Um, it's something that my a friend of mine, their friend told them, and they passed it on to me. And I think that friend forgot that that was even said because
Yeah.
I remember a few months ago sharing it
What?
back with them.
No.
They're like, "Oh, that's good." Like I learned it from you,
Yeah.
and which is kind of interesting how like um, a conversation or information in a conversation can be passed along and like mean so much to someone.
Yeah.
And uh, I guess it's something to be mindful of having conversations, to really take in what you're engaging in while
Yeah.
you're there because you don't know what could
What
be of use to you. But
it's that drop in the water, like we had talked about,
mm,
like you yelling at one person in a road rage incident,
mm,
like that could literally drastically change the kid who was in the back seat of that car.
oh yeah,
Now he's domesticated from that situation.
hmm
It's just like, and you're not, no one's ever going to be perfect in that. Like you're going to have outbursts. There's going to be situations that like I could say something to one of my friends' kids and change the way that they view
change
something
their
for
whole life.
forever, and
Yeah,
it's like it's an impossible state to be in to have that kind of responsibility, but that is the responsibility of us as humans, as of people who are around each other, and that's like the main reason that we say to fucking be nice to people
yeah. I
and
mean,
really try to see
yeah,
where they're coming from.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
I think the goal, right, um, of anyone, any type of like teacher, or I think anyone who has evolved is is to help share that message, right? and get people to live more mindfully. A lot of the books that we read and the information that we try to absorb comes from people with the knowledge of how to live their life in a better way. And a lot of that message is the same, just, you know, fed or spoken differently. And it all has to do with mindfulness
Yeah, it's
and
like
how you live.
99% of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think the more aware you are with how you're walking through life, the easier it is to see how you're affecting things in the moment. You know, a lot of us have said or done things, and then later you reflect on it and you're like, oh, I should have done this or should have said that, and kind of go back and forth. But I think it's kind of like they've said, like, it doesn't matter what type of environment you came from growing up. You could have kids that came from a home where you would think that they had everything that they could have wanted or needed, and there's still going to be shortcomings, um, which is why, like, it doesn't matter how you grew up per se in terms of like how you develop and who you turn into, right? Like, we know people that grew up with nothing that are great people, and then people who grew up with nothing that are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And same goes for the people that are wealthy, right? Like, I know people that grew up with everything I would have wanted as a kid, right?
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
not so great. And then some of them are awesome people. So I don't think it necessarily matters until you get a little bit older and you can look back on your life and figure out how to use that to better kind of gauge your mental clarity and your line of thinking in life. You know, like, it's something you need to look at. Everybody should look at their childhood and their environment and how and why they think and feel the way that they do about things, because a lot of it does come from just environmental situations when we're growing up. And you could have somebody and a parent that feels like they did everything they could have for a kid, and that kid could still come out feeling unloved, right? Like, that's a common thread in a lot of the books that I've read that are self-development or self-help books or whatever.
And I mean, that could have, like you said, though, like, that could have just come from one sentence, though.
Yeah.
Like, the parent could have said something. I said this to Matt and Ty the other day. It's like, your parents could love you and they could do all of the great things and they think that they're doing everything right. But one time that they had an upset moment, like, that latched onto you.
Yeah.
And at being older, it's like, and like I said, I'm doing this line in the sand thing with my past, where it's like that person might have been having a bad day when they said it. That person, like, might have had no
There's people
idea that I
just
was
say
even
stuff,
listening,
right?
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that changed my, past
whole perception on
25
life.
years
Yeah.
of my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just something that it's like, because you're doing it to other people as well, you
Mhm.
have to have the forgiveness and the ability to let go of that attachment, because, and then again, the mindfulness of, how do I move forward in life, trying to limit that negative attachment that I'm putting out there,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids have been I think the biggest element of my life that makes me think about being present or being mindful and trying to stay in the moment and, like, bringing what I truly want to bring to each moment. I think they've been the biggest teacher for me. Because, like, I can tell you there's stuff that my kids have told me that, like, has affected them, and I might remember it or whatever, but
Yeah.
not to the level that they're describing, and same thing. I think, like what you were saying, I've had different experiences or different things said around me that, like, I think I've carried with me as meaning, so much.
Yeah.
And now, being a little bit older, it's like, why would I have thought that was like a life philosophy,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean, it's funny, you like, we kind of grow up too, like, looking up to people. There's, I'm not gonna name names or anything, but I had one of my buddies dads that I looked up to for like ever.
Yeah.
Until recently when I had seen him. And I'm not necessarily even friends with this person or with that person anymore, but it's like I saw the dad and it was like he's still the same person. And I was like, man, it's so crazy that I looked up to this person because he, did all the cool shit that I want to do, but then now he's still the same person and like hasn't excelled and hasn't done anything extra. And
Right.
and it's like it's just such a weird thing to look back into the past and be like, man, a lot of who I was is based off of or just based off of like the strong beliefs, other than having the thought, like having that mindful thought of like, there might be a different perspective to this.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard it said that you don't want to meet your idols, because you end up, you like aspire to be like this person that in reality, like you have created who this person is in your mind and you have no idea, I mean, but there are people who we know personally as we're going through life that you do have the opportunity to know them. And as your perspective in life changes, then you see them differently. There's people I grew up looking up to that now as like a parent and, a father, and where I'm at, it's like I'm disappointed that, I thought that was cool or thought that I wanted to be like that person, and
well, in the book that we're reading too, it's like what they had said was any belief is derived in your own mind. Any belief that you have, whether you believe in God, whether you believe in the universe, whether you believe in this person being this way, it's all in your own mind. It doesn't
it's all from your perspective.
And it doesn't necessarily mean it's, lives in reality.
Right.
And, there's a good point to that and there's a bad point. Like you said, like meeting your idol is based off of the belief that you created who this person is, or the belief in a higher power that's helping you move through life in a positive way. Like having faith is a great thing. Belief that even exists, comes from you and it comes from inside. And I mean, that's a whole nother topic about faith and belief, but
I've had a lot
yeah
going on in that realm, which we could talk about later, but it's like, it all ties in with, like the mirror effect and mirroring things in life and getting back what you're putting out, right? Even in relationships, they say that
the Bad Project is about finding those small distractions that keep you moving when life tries to pin you down. That's what our gear stands for. They're reminders you can wear, carry, and share to push through those hard days. Every shirt, every hat, every sticker helps spread the message. When you're wearing it, you're not just buying our merch, you're backing the mission. We're building more than just a brand. As we roll out Bad Activity events, your support helps make them possible. With new drops, holiday specials, and surprises always around the corner, we really are just getting started. If you want to go even deeper, hit our new Patreon for Bad Thoughts episodes, bonus content, behind the scenes, and a closer seat in this community we're building. We're even doing giveaways. So check out the gear at thebadproject.com, hit our Patreon, and follow us on all the socials to stay locked in. This movement's only growing, and you're going to be a part of it. Thanks for everything you guys are doing. Love you all.
Cass & Co. Upscale Thrift is redefining resale. Think timeless fashion, luxury brands, and curated pieces, all at prices that let you stay stylish without the splurge. Whether you're hunting for vintage classics or this season's designer staples, we'll make high-end accessible. Dress like you own the runway for a fraction of the price.
Every crew's got that one guy who shows up late, drinks gas station mud, and wonders why he feels like trash by lunch. Don't be that guy. Construction Coffee Co. isn't cheap sludge. It's small batch coffee roasted to keep you moving when everyone else is crying about their backs. Smooth enough to sit black, strong enough to keep you upright when your foreman's breathing down your neck. Fuck that guy. And yeah, they've got gear too. Shirts, hats, workwear built tough enough for the job site, not that pajama junk your apprentice wears. This stuff actually holds up when you're crawling through mud or hanging steel. They're there for you to roast beans and roast you. Just like you do with your buddies on the job. Because that's the culture. Talk trash, laugh hard, and get it done. Construction Coffee Co. Clock in, drink up, shut up. Go to constructioncoffeeco.com to get yours.
Even in relationships, I'm sure you've heard how it's said that you should become the person that develop the qualities in which you'd like to have in the person that you want to be with, right? Like you should become the person that you'd like to be with,
Mhm.
right? And I think that goes to the understanding that when you're with somebody, you are in love with the way that you feel when you're around that person. It's like that person can affect the way that you feel, but when you're having a great time with somebody, it's because you're having a great time with them. You're
having a
yeah,
great time.
you are bringing your attitude, your thoughts, your feelings, and then walking away from it feeling the way that you're feeling. And a lot of people only look to the exterior and externally in terms of what somebody else is saying or doing to affect them, not realizing or remembering that, they have a lot more to do with that interaction than they are taking credit for in the moment. And
Yeah.
they're putting it off on someone else a lot of the times.
Well, if you have an argument or whatever, and this is something that I'm still learning about, but like if you have an argument or you have a problem with the way that the conversation's going, like you are 50% of that conversation. And ultimately you're more than 50%
Well,
because you have the ability
yeah.
to
Well,
deal with the situation however you, so you
right.
technically have 100% of that
Yeah.
conversation, and they do too,
Absolutely.
because you have the ability to walk away or the ability to not have that conversation to begin with.
Yeah. I
So
mean, it's kind of like why somebody can stay in a relationship that's not really great for them for so long, because in the beginning there were elements to it that were great, right? And when they continue engaging with that person that maybe doesn't make them feel good now later on, they're still reminiscent of how they felt early on. And it's like you're not getting that right now. So what makes you continue to engage in it, right?
right,
It's
the hope
it's
or
it's
whatever.
that attachment to the feeling that you had gotten or allow yourself to feel when things are okay. And you're bringing that and taking that away though.
Yeah.
It's hard to just, I guess, for me to articulate all of that
Yeah.
because it's
Well, there's a
in a
lot
lot
of
of
dynamics when it comes to
yeah,
that, right?
and it's in a lot of different things that I've read. My process for that self-awareness comes from trying to incorporate all of the elements of the things that I have read or learned personally and in books and um, you know, I try to engage in the activities that are described, in those books and the different action steps that I can take, that are within my control to incorporate those into my life. Meditation is a huge one, which we've talked about. Um, that slowing you down and meditation will help you to become more mindful of the thoughts that you're actually thinking, right? And so when you can slow down your thoughts, you can allow them to come and go, and you don't have to attach yourself to that thought. So when you're in an experience, you have a reaction to it, you can choose to either latch onto that and make it your present, or you just let it go if it's not serving you, a better or higher purpose. And I think that's a great place to start. And then behind that, there are other elements to, mindfulness that I think everybody should try and incorporate, but it's hard to do all those things all the time. Even just boundaries, like knowing what real boundaries are and how those boundaries that you have now came from experiences when you were a kid in that environment. A lot of people think certain things now in the present um, based on what they were told that they had to be okay with as kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not having great boundaries will have you getting walked on as an adult. Having overly rigid boundaries as a kid with like your family dynamic could have you pushing things away, in your present as an adult that maybe would be good for you. And so it's, creating mindfulness and slowing down and then knowing what to attach to. All those things have just come from things that I've read, and I'm terrible at some of them and I'm better at other things. And
I mean, it all comes down to a balance. And I was explaining this to Matt too. Like, and I know like when we talk about video games or whatever, like I know that you haven't
I
necessarily
don't play video
I know,
games.
but
Once upon a
but you
time.
know that in games, like you have the ability when you're creating a character to
Mhm.
put certain stats in certain areas, and
Right.
like you only have an allotted amount of points,
Mhm.
and you have to play the game in order to get those more points. And it's
Yeah.
like if you want to break it down to anybody who is sitting playing video games, just so happens to be listening, it's like you you only have so many points, and like you were born with those points in those areas.
Mhm.
As you play the game of life,
Mhm.
like you have the ability to gain more points wherever you choose.
Mhm.
You can put more points in laziness.
Mhm.
You can put more points in deceitfulness,
Mhm.
or you can choose to put more points in growing and more points, like you have the ability. The other thing is I am and it's funny because I was so at the time of starting the journey of like mindfulness and bettering myself and stuff. I was so sick of it, of hearing influencers and hearing people I looked up to being like, you have the choice. It's just you.
Mhm.
You are what makes the like what fixes you.
Mhm.
And it took me so long, and this is something that I've had for a while now, but it took me so long to actually like break that cliche down
Yeah,
where it's like that is the truth.
it's
Like
true.
it all comes back to whether or not you're willing to let go of the past, whether
Mhm.
you're willing to do the work, whether you're willing to like really start to struggle in growing,
Mhm.
because the you can struggle in the life that you've created already, and growing and like becoming that better person, it is a massive struggle in itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to kind of replace the two struggles. You have to mend them, like yin and yang them,
Yeah.
until you can get all of the good out,
Mhm.
and become that better person. And ultimately, it does. It just comes down to your choices to grow, and you're not going to get it right every fucking time.
Yeah.
But like, just trying, just haven't just try. Like
Mhm.
that's all you need to do. And I think a lot of people get lost on that, and I know I did too. Where it's like, well, I tried, but I failed.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
tried and I failed. I tried and I failed. And it's
yeah.
like the failure means you tried.
Mhm.
Like the fact that you didn't get it done means that you actually put in the effort to do it.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess I don't know. That's
It's
kind of a silly
no, I
way
mean,
of putting that,
no, but it's
because you could
true
also fail by
because
not trying. So, anyways,
but the point of that is I think that even in failure there are lessons to be learned, right? So even if you're failing at something, if
I
you
love
are
failing at things.
if you are really being mindful of that process, and decide what kind of attitude you're going to have about it as you walk away from it, everything is an opportunity to grow, right? So once you apply that to yourself, then it's like everything is growth, everything is an experience to grow from and learn. And um, I think something that you said that I wanted to add
Honestly,
on
I
to,
don't even
but
remember what I said.
a lot
Just
of
trying to work through
I was
stuff.
just gonna say a lot of the areas and growth that I've had, I won't say all of it, but a lot of it has been in like my path through mindfulness or whatever. And I don't think like I'm great at it. I just want to say that I'm not a professional. I'm
Me
like
neither. Yeah,
I'm
neither one of us
just
are.
trying to figure this
Yeah.
out, and there are a lot of areas that I struggle with. But a lot of the growth that I've had has come through hard times and difficult moments in life where I have been trying to fix myself or fix a situation or someone else. And as I'm trying to read something and take in new information, it will initially start in my mind to like try and fix something or someone, some issue, some problem. And every time that I've gone into a learning opportunity or a book thinking I want to fix this element or this person or this thing, it all ends up correlating to me in some way that's like it's it's me and what I'm bringing to the situation, my thoughts and my mentality coming into the situation, that and how I'm interacting with that end up determining um, good or bad. And even if I think my issue is with somebody else, it really does have to do with me and what I'm bringing to it. I can choose to participate in
Yeah.
said activity or not. If it's something that's bringing me pain, I don't have to participate.
Yeah.
But but you are, right, and you do,
Right.
and
And
then
it
you find frustration because you're still participating in something that's not good for you.
ultimately that ends up being your fault. One of my favorite, like, we talk about like reading books and like, I- it's funny that you could have read something 8 years ago and then it clicks 8 years later,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
like something um about extreme ownership.
Mhm.
Uh, there was a point in it where I was like, this is kind of just like it's all your fault. But
Mhm.
then ultimately you break it down and it's like it's not necessarily your fault, but it's your responsibility to change it if you want the outcome to be different.
Right.
And that goes from the lowest level all the way up to the highest level,
Mhm.
especially even in business. It's
Yeah.
like if you want the people who are on your team, or if you want all of that,
Mhm.
like, it's your responsibility to figure out a way for it to be your responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, either life is gonna happen to you
Yeah.
or you can happen to life,
Yeah.
and you can leave it up to different circumstances and people, and hope that things come out well, or
There is an element that
yes, there's absolutely an
the
element to
universe
life.
or God or
Yeah,
whoever
life can
plays. Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Life can definitely happen, and we don't control everything, but every situation that we're in, we control the way that we think about it.
Yeah.
That is a certainty. Like, we do get to think about everything we're going through, and we do have control of our thoughts. And some stuff is tough, some situations are really tough, um, but it ultimately comes down to how we are communicating with ourselves about that situation. And if it's something that's within our control, then we have the power to change it. And I think that's the next piece in terms of my assessment to the present and how to stay mindful is slowing the thoughts down, recognizing the thoughts. That's that first piece. And then that's followed by how I'm communicating with myself about it. A lot of that, like, I had to do some cognitive behavioral therapy that helped me become more mindful about the way that I actually talk to myself and speak to myself. And it's hard. If you grew up with like a critical parent or a coach or anything like that, you probably have their critical voice in your head. Might be it might be in your voice, but
Yeah.
a lot of the things
Yeah. It's
that
domesticated to be in your head.
right.
Yeah.
And so it's tough, man. I mean, you have to be mindful of what you're saying to yourself and how that's affecting your perception on the situation that you're going through. And I think a lot of people are so reactionary and so in their emotions and their feelings that they make decisions and say things and do things first and then take a look at how that shakes out, or how that makes them feel afterwards. And you- it's hard, but you got to try to do that in the moment and take the time to come from that place of kind of stillness and your true self when you're making those decisions about what you want to control in life or what you want to affect in life. Everything is our control. Everything is within our power.
Yeah.
You know.
I,
Um,
the progression of that too. I mean, it sounds silly to even say, but obviously, the more you work on it, the better it gets. It's the same as
mhm.
every other concept in life. If
Oh
you
yeah.
want to get good at playing guitar, like, you have to play every day. If you
Hmm.
Even if it's for an hour or 5 minutes, but
Hmm.
I mean that concept works the exact same way as bettering yourself and bettering and changing your life.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect at it yet. Like, I will consistently say that just to make sure that I'm always checking myself. And um i- the progression of, like, if someone goes, well, I can't ever break that cycle, and it's like, well, you can if you just think right now that you're trying to better yourself.
Yeah. Even just that
Just that
statement,
just
I
that
can or
thought.
can't.
Yeah, just that thought of changing it is already planting the seed
Mhm.
that you want and need something different in your life.
Yeah.
So, it's funny that we even say this. Like originally, when I was first like putting up all the reels and stuff like
Mhm.
that, um, I I hated doing it because I just started doing this thing to where I'm like writing something out, and the text that pops up with the reel, like on the page, if it says the word you in it, it's like I want whatever it is to say you or yours, or like what are your thoughts, or like. And at first I was like, this is kind of, it felt like manipulative, in terms of getting the views and everything. But when I broke it down, I'm like, well, this is exactly what I wish people would do,
Mhm.
is really develop like develop this thought pattern that you need to understand what your thoughts are behind it, where it's coming from inside of you.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I'm glad that we just like had the chance to like rope that in.
Yeah. I mean, we all have the ability to affect the circumstances and our attitude about them. And it really does matter how you speak to yourself. Words matter. I can't or I can, you know, drastically affect whether or not it's going to happen or not, whatever it is. And I don't think people remember as they're going through certain situations what they're saying to themselves as they're going through it has very serious consequences to what the outcome is going to be, um, whether or not you think you can or can't, you will.
I made
So,
sure when we were, or like when I was doing the treadmill challenge,
mhm,
I made sure that if I caught myself saying can't, I immediately said I can do this.
right.
Or not even can. If I had the thought, I might have even said it out loud,
Hmm.
that I didn't know if I was going to be able to do this. In my head, the moment I said it, I was like, no, you will.
Yeah.
You will do this. And I
Yeah.
just kept saying it. And again, it's like, in terms of the greatness that other people are doing,
Mhm.
like it isn't that big of a feat. However, that's what I mean when I was like, I need to check my ego, but
Yeah.
also I need to give myself some grace, because the hardest thing that you've ever been through is the hardest thing that you've ever been through. The
Hmm.
biggest challenge that you've ever overcome is the biggest challenge that you have
Hmm.
overcome. It doesn't have to relate to somebody. Like, you don't have to diminish the success that you have right now
Hmm.
because somebody else
Yeah. I mean, that's all
more successful.
comparison.
Yeah, and that comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
And it really, truthfully, like, that is one of the biggest, truest statements and
Yeah.
truest cliches that there is. I really have been trying to dial in on the self talk, especially after our book. And then, like,
Yeah.
that's The Mastery of Self by
Don
Don
Miguel Ruiz.
Jr., right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's for myself right now. I'm really trying to eliminate the word try because there is no trying.
Yeah.
You either are or you're not.
Yeah.
And it really is true. And I catch myself
I
saying,
like
oh, I'm
that.
going to try to do this. I'm going to try to do that. And it's like, no, you're either going to or you're not.
Yeah.
Like, and we can make that on big goals, or we can make it down to what I'm choosing to do with my afternoon.
Yeah.
I really want to work out. Oh, tonight I'm going to try and work out.
Yeah.
Well, am I
Either,
just saying try to sugarcoat it for myself, knowing I'm not going to?
I think that's a really good.
Or am I going to decide to just, that's part of my
Yeah.
day and that's what's going to happen?
I like that.
And I catch myself saying I'm going to try with all sorts of stuff, whether
Well,
it's
'cause-
me working out or eating something, taking care of myself, taking care of somebody else. It's all, I'm going to try. I'm going to try.
Well, the
And so,
intention's there, right? Like, that's the
yeah,
point.
and it's
Like,
good to have, good intentions.
right, but you're like, when you say sugar coated, it's
Mhm.
like, oh, well, hey, I had the intention because I said try.
Right.
But that's a game. Like, it is a game that you're trying to play with yourself.
Well, and you were bringing up time earlier, right? Like, how much of your time are you affecting by telling yourself you're going to try to do something through the day because you have intentions to do that thing that's good for you or that you should do, and it's like you're wasting time.
Yep.
Thinking it, up until you actually do the thing, it's a waste of time to sit there and mull it over, right? Like, you either decide that you're going to, and then you make it a part of your day, or make it a part of what you need to handle, or
Yeah.
whatever the situation is, right? Or you can decide early on that you're going to be honest with yourself and not do it. And then that eliminates all that time that you spent
Yeah.
all day long mulling it over and trying to make yourself feel better by sugarcoating it.
It's funny,
you know?
like to an example of that, I recently did that without even knowing that I was doing that. I didn't know that I was trying to getting rid of the word try.
Mhm.
I just said when I woke up, I said, no matter what, I am going to the
Mhm.
gym tonight.
Yeah.
And then me and Cass, like, and we went later or whatever, and it, like, as we went, it felt like we weren't going to have any time.
Mhm.
But ultimately, as my day went, we went to the gym, we came back, and it was still the same. Like, I still had the same amount of time that I normally do. I just felt better.
Yeah.
I felt like I had more time, like
Yeah.
I had more energy to get up
Yeah.
and like make dinner and do all of this stuff and not eat out.
Well,
It's
and you know how it is. It sucks going to the gym sometimes,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Or working out. But even the days that suck, once you get there and once you start breathing and get the blood flowing a little bit, like you end up feeling a little bit better. And by the end of the workout, even if it was a sucky workout, you still feel better
Yeah.
because you showed up for yourself. That's a form of self-love, and you're getting endorphins going, and you will feel better, even
Yeah.
if it's minimal effort.
Even showing up on the hardest days. I was talking to Cass about that. Like, my justification and my love for climbing is like in the gym is that style of workout.
Mhm.
It is some days you go in there and you are ready to climb. You're having a great time and you're hitting everything you need to, and you're pushing goals and you're pushing climbs and like changing up certain ways that you move. And then some days you go in there and you climb like absolute shit, and the only point for you to be there is to get on the wall.
Mhm.
That's it. Like, your mind's not there, your body's not, like, you're really struggling.
Yeah, man.
But then the next day,
Yeah.
the next time you come in,
Mhm.
you're back to it. You're back to flying. Like, you have to remember that showing up consistently, even on the hardest days, is still progress.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say whether or not it doesn't matter whether or not you've had the good day or the bad day. When you're looking back on it, you're going to feel better regardless of what kind of day it was, just based on the fact that you went.
Yeah.
You had some follow through with yourself, and that's discipline and follow through. It's self-love.
Yeah.
It's showing up for yourself. It's the problem with try is that every time we try and we don't, we are lying to ourselves. We are
Yeah.
betraying ourselves. It's a form of self-betrayal
Yeah.
to tell yourself you're going to do something and you don't.
Yeah.
And then to do that over and over and over, like a lot of people do, like I do all the time when I don't get the workout in that I'm supposed to do. It wears on you over time,
You lose that level of respect. And I had heard somebody say it maybe in a reel or something, but like, the one person that you don't want to lose respect for is yourself.
Yeah.
And the moment that you keep lying to yourself, the
Mhm.
moment that you, like, even if it's on a small level, doing the thing that you said that you're going to do, even if you get to it and you can't give all of the effort,
Mhm.
like, just getting to that thing is not lying to yourself. And it's developing the respect for yourself again.
Mhm.
And I think that's why there's so many people who struggle with doing the next step to better themselves, is that they've lost the respect for themselves.
Right.
They've
It's you're losing self-love, it's self-betrayal, so you're not giving yourself what you need, what you would do for maybe somebody else, you're not even doing for yourself. And anytime we're not doing that, then we're being more critical of ourselves and we're talking poorly about ourselves. And it's that whole cycle of, you know, just negative thinking, negative mindset, And so that's why I think eliminating try really does make a difference, because you have to be honest with yourself right away about something. You have to keep it real with yourself, which is important, because if you can say, I don't have the energy for this thing today, then you're not bullshitting yourself all day, telling yourself you're going to do something you're really not going to. You're able to navigate through the day without that critical voice talking poorly about you in the back of your head.
Yeah.
And when you do say, I am going to do this, you do everything in your power to make it happen, you will feel better, even if it is a bad workout,
Yeah.
even if it is less than what you want
Yeah.
that experience to be, you're still going to feel better about yourself for showing up.
Yeah. The other aspect too of when you say that you don't have the energy or you don't have the time and you make that choice, you make that no choice. Like that's another powerful thing. The benefit to that as well is you get to the end of the day and you really check in with yourself and go, "Oh, I did have energy for that. So maybe tomorrow I'll just say yes." Right? Like you do have the option, and it really gets put like that decision really gets put forth later on at the end of the day, maybe before bed or whatever. It's like it's not necessarily being down on yourself. It's just like, "Oh, I could have made the decision of yes because I do have I do have more in me." And that's another way of like how not doing something to better yourself by just making that choice can actually have a positive impact at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
because it could change for tomorrow. So do you wanna end this or do a Patreon or you gotta go? Okay, let's split over a Patreon.